Guys, welcome to this webinar. Thank you so much, Donna, Dr. Sara Al Madani, and Wilhelm for being here. To our attendees, welcome to this webinar. We have 3 incredible success stories of the UAE on this webinar. Guys, we truly welcome you and we thank you for this opportunity of being here with us.
Honored.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
perhaps let's get right to it. Dr. Sara Al Madani, you are regarded as a serial entrepreneur. You're a board member of the Sharjah Chamber of Commerce. Tell us a little bit about how you're living this moment in time. How has COVID-19 affected you, and what's the way forward?
To be honest, as I told you guys earlier, it's scary how much I'm actually liking this quarantine thing that's happening. I think it's because my personality as an entrepreneur, I work so hard, and I've been in business since I was 15. And when you're not working and there's no excuse, you get hit by a wave of guilt, because we are brainwashed to always be busy being busy. Even if we're not doing anything, we just have to be busy, otherwise we feel like we're not doing anything and we feel useless. But now we all have a legit excuse, and it feels good not to feel guilty about not working for a while, because you need to recharge as an entrepreneur as well. We give so much, we work hard. We need to settle down for a while and just, breathe and do nothing. So in the beginning, I panicked and I was like, oh my God, I'm not used to this. But then I was like, oh my God, I like this. Oh, this is not normal. Why do I like this so much? And then just to turn the table around to the work part of it, yes, the businesses are affected. As I mentioned earlier to you guys, in crisis, there's opportunity. So what a person should do if you have a business right now or a startup, see if you can cater to any problem that's happening right now. So I converted a lot of my company and the business model to serve the problem that's happening now, because we still have bills to pay, we have salaries to pay and all that. So there's no harm in solving a problem in times like this. You're not abusing the situation or using it. You're basically trying to survive as an entrepreneur, and you're trying to solve a problem at the same time. My tech company in the US, instead of doing games, we usually do games and robotics. Right now we're doing just data apps that can collect data all over the world, support governments when it comes to COVID-19 and all that, and spreading awareness and everything like that. So it is hard. A lot of us lost a lot, and we might still be losing. But entrepreneurship was a personality. If you can pick up yourself, if you can find solutions in times like this, you'd survive. But if situations like this, it either makes you or breaks you, basically. So if you decide to be broken, it's up to you. If you decide to work hard and go out there and do what you have to do, then you do it. But to be honest, it feels good to have a break for a while.
But you're saying then adaptability is the name of the game right now. Yeah,
yes.
Is this startups and entrepreneurs are having to do now?
100%. If you fight the situation, you can't change anything. If you adapt and you change and you cater, you survive.
Right. Well, we'll pick up on this thought now. Donna Benton, I wanted to introduce you, CEO of the Benton Group, founder of The Entertainer. You're an icon of entrepreneurship in Dubai and the UAE. Donna, again, thank you for being with us. What's your take on this? Where are you right now when it comes to COVID-19?
Yeah, look, I agree with a lot of points that Sara was saying. As an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, you're always on the go. So it's actually been really lovely just to be able to sit back and take things at a slower pace. But again, with us, nothing ever really goes slow, because you're always thinking then about a vision or what other business you can start, or you're adapting to the other times. So for me personally, how I've dealt with it, a lot of my businesses have suffered. I have a restaurant group that is all shut down. I have a salon that has also been shut down. But I'm always glass half full. I also have a sports company that has been busy in my e-commerce. And I'm actually launching a swimwear line for men's, women's and kids. And I've been really excited, and that's enabled me to have more time to really focus on that and get creative and to work on that. So how I've kept going is routine's really important to me. So I am saying it has been nice to have a little bit of a sleep in with the kids not at school. I'm sure a lot of mums can appreciate that. But for me, routine, The homeschooling has been tough. That's taken a lot out of my day. So just 2 days ago, I've managed to get a tutor, which is great. And I'm supporting her and she's supporting me at the same time. Exercise, I try and do at least 5 days a week. So I really try and do that. And listen, you've just got to really ride the wave. You have to support some of, my staff. I've really done what I can. I've put them on paid leave, unpaid leave, paid out some gratuity. I'm all about people, all about the company culture, but you can't fight it. You have to go with it and you have to keep positive. It will come back. It's just when, and it really puts things into perspective for the future, whether it be save for a rainy day. This is time now to have some you time, to really think what's important to you and to move forward and what's best for you. It's just not about companies. I would say it's also about personal as well. And if you're a happy person inside and focused and have some self-love, well, everything then when you come back is going to be extra bigger, extra better, extra special. And you're going to be a happier person through this and to learn a lot through it.
Right. I think it's a good time to say to our attendees that if you have any questions that you would like to address to our panelists, please send those through the Q&A button that you have in your screens. And Donna, one aspect that you've been focusing a lot on how we are helping each other as a community, as an ecosystem of startups and entrepreneurs. I want to go back to this. I want to introduce Vilhelm now, also a very renowned entrepreneur here in the UAE and in Dubai. Vilhelm, the co-founder and CEO of ECAR, among many other ventures. If you can tell us, Vilhelm, how is this affecting you? And maybe we can start shifting the conversation on what's the way out? What's the way forward for all three of you?
Yeah, thanks, Lorenzo. Thanks for having me. So just as a quick intro, ECAR is the Middle East's first car sharing company, which we launched in 2016. So we have about 2,000 cars available to rent by the minute via a mobile app in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia. So of course, mobility was one of the first impacted industries, of course. Restaurants and offices were starting to get on lockdown. The way people move, of course, became very restricted, and it still is. So literally every industry has been hit by this in one way or the other. But of course, mobility has a special place in this because there's only so many trips that people take, whether that be by a metro, by a bus, by a taxi, an Uber, or whatever, or an e-car. And that trip pool has decreased quite significantly. So the question really for us in particular was, okay, what does this all mean? And is this going to be a short-term, a midterm, or a long-term problem for a company, and especially a startup business? Now, I'm in a panel of legends. You have someone like Donna who's on the line, who's like super famous in the UAE for exiting her company, Entertainer. But we're a startup still. I mean, we're in the growth path at this point, and for us, everything comes down to how much runway we have, how long we can keep the lights on. Those kinds of things are massively critical. So whereas it's super nice to hear that some of the other entrepreneurs on the line had the ability to sort of take this time to sort of reflect and react, we've had to be massively sort of proactive on our approach to figure out, okay, what's our short, mid, and long-term plan? So I think we've done a pretty good job about all that. Meanwhile, also not forgetting about our company culture and what it is that we stand for. So things have actually progressed pretty nicely. We're also expecting that once COVID is done, the requirement to have a sanitized self-drive environment is going to be really important for a lot of people. This is low-cost mobility. It's a fraction of the cost of a ride-hailing or a taxi type or chauffeur drive type of form of mobility. So I think we're okay in the longer term. It's just a question of what we're doing now, and I think whatever the companies are doing now is going to be reflected in the future. So really for us, it was a matter of, okay, let's make sure that we have all our staff covered, that we're making sure everyone's okay, but then also looking to see how we can improve and help. We have, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood around 600 cars parked. How can we use these cars to help the governments? So we've donated about 100 cars to, in Saudi, we've donated cars to the Ministry of Health. In the UAE, we've donated cars to over 10 hospitals in the UAE for healthcare workers. So we're doing our small part to sort of help through this thing. But there's a much broader conversation about how startup companies will continue to be able to operate in a very unknown future. Yeah. And I think that that's a, go ahead.
I think, yeah, we have definitely learned a lot of lessons out of this situation that was brought up to us. I like these things that you're talking about, how you've been adapting and helping out. This is what we were just talking with Donna. She's put a few initiatives. Dr. Sara, what is your view on that? I mean, you're a board member of the Sharjah Chamber of Commerce. The chamber must have a view on what can we do to help out? What can we do to help out the startups, the entrepreneurs, to extend a helping hand? What are we seeing in this sort of domain of things?
To be honest, we can see how everyone can see how the rules in Dubai are being more, and the UAE and Dubai, the UAE, they're just being more lenient towards entrepreneurs, towards like the citizens, supporting them, trying to help them in so many ways. Even the chamber has declared so many wavering fees and reducing fees and all that, even supporting, opening a hotline that works 24/7 to support people and entrepreneurs and everything. But what Donna and Vilhelm said is very important. At times like this, people should not be, yeah, I know we should be home safe, away from everything, but in terms of being humans, we should never be absent or away. We should support, we should give, this experience should humble us into becoming people again, into supporting, into giving back. So, and I love what they're both are doing to support that as well. We are trying to support in so many ways as well. Support not only the government, but the country, but also our staff, because as Donna said, a lot of her staff have been like on unpaid leave, some are on paid leave, some are on compensation. So also managing that without leaving somebody out, because as a leader, they're your responsibility. They also have families. They also have things to take care of. But to be honest, at these situations, at times like these, true leadership really pays off, because I am a true leader to my staff and I treat them like they're human beings, and a leader, you have to be like a parent at the same time, right? When I spoke with them, they made the situation much easier. They're like, listen, we know you're going through a hard time. You've always been there for us, so we're going to be there for you. So whatever decision you take, we're supportive of it. So this is when you know that, you know, being just a manager or a boss doesn't pay off, you know, and being a leader is the future, is the answer in a situation like these. And it really, really pays off. It made life so much easier. It made the conversation so much easier with the staff. So yeah, in times like this, you need to be human. You need to open up. And yeah, I mean, we're all in quarantine and trying to be safe, but your heart, your mind has to open up to other people and try to support as much as you can, and not just to be selfish at these times.
That's very, very good point. And I am, from what I'm hearing, I'm very impressed how many of us and in general the business community has been handling this. People are, you're right, are trying to lay off as little as possible. Everybody's still trying to help and contribute. I remember my wife coming to me and saying, look, we're going to still be paying the nursery for our kids. And I'm like, but they're not going there. So they're doing this little mimic thing in front of the computer, and we're still paying a full price, let's say. But it's to support, right? The teachers, the people, the whole system, it stays intact. So Donna, from your side of things, you've been posting a little bit on social media on this. Tell us your story.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm, you know, a big supporter. You know, I love this country. It's where I started my business, had my kids, etc. So I just wanted to do something. I know what it's like to be a startup. I know what it's like to be an SME, and I know what it's like to be international. I've pretty much covered all those three pillars. And unfortunately, everyone thinks in a crisis, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to any of the three, that we need to support startups, we need to do this, that gets them going, and we do, you know, but we need to support everybody, because every single one of those pillars has a role to play. You've got a big international company, you forget that they employ thousands of people at the same time, which provides thousands, hundreds of thousands of people with family, with food and schooling and things like that. Startups and SMEs, awesome, because they're in their embryonic stages and then they can create, so their future. So, you know, just for me, I wanted to do a hashtag, UAE will be strong again. And I wanted to buy something every day for 30 days from somebody in the UAE. Now, it could be international, SME or startup. It didn't have to be expensive, but it was just about the support. And, you know, we live in this country. This is where, you know, we are at the moment. It's our home ground. It's where our kids go to school. It's where we go out. And unfortunately, money does make the world go round, whether people want to believe that or not. And if it's 10 dirham you spend, or 1,000 dirham or 10,000, it helps somebody, whether they keep a job, or obviously I'm buying things that relates to me or my family, or not just for the sake of it. But I think it's really important that, I think at times like this, a lot of people, we can't spend, we have to save, and I get that as well. But we also need to be able to support other people if you can afford it. I really encourage that, because the littlest thing can go such a long way, and people don't realize that. But it's just a small thing of excitement from an online order from a local company that can really make their day. And social media it, because that's, you know, word of mouth is such a huge tool. So that's just what I'm personally doing, and I'd love people to follow that. They don't have to, but that's something that I felt was my duty to be able to do that, because I've been in those three pillars and I wanted to be able to support and give back.
It's such a nice initiative, Donna. Thank you for that. Us as a company at Creative Song will try our best to promote that and extend it to our client base. It's true, if we all help each other a little bit, it will maintain afloat so many families and so many people. Dr. Sara, this is coming along with Ramadan now. How is this sort of combined with what we are living this time of Ramadan? How is the Muslim community taking this time as well?
I mean, yes, we cannot do the usual things we do in Ramadan, which is like visit each other, share food and all that. But the spirit of Ramadan is still there, giving, being kind, being spiritually aligned, and all these things. You can still do them. Yeah, our traditions in Ramadan has been affected, but guess what? Create new traditions in situations like these. So what we do at home is basically, because I can't visit my family, I can't visit my aunts and all that, and we have a huge family. So when I try cooking, which I am very bad at, but I highly ask people to have health insurance when I cook. So when I'm cooking or trying new things, we go on Zoom and the whole family tunes in together and we eat and we talk. So it's all about adaptation basically, but the spirit of Ramadan, which is the kindness, the giving, the love, the sharing, all these things is still there. Times like this should not suppress those feelings. They should make them even stronger. And it's unique because it's the first time we can't go out, we can't go a late night for like, let's say for hangouts or food gatherings and all that, but we created new traditions that fits the situation we're in right now. But are we aligned spiritually with the message of Ramadan? Oh yeah, that can't be quarantine. You know what I mean? That's in your heart and mind and how you act about it. So what Donna's saying is very important. How she's supporting. I love the idea, and I think I'm going to start it too, Donna. And yeah, it's a small gesture, just one order can change someone's life. Even give entrepreneurs hope. You know what I mean? So why not, open up and support and do all these things? And Ramadan should multiply that feeling by 2, because the spirit of Ramadan speaks and focuses on these things.
Donna, what's the hashtag again? We have 100+ attendees there. We're going to ask everybody to follow this hashtag right now and start following the content. What's the hashtag?
Hashtag UAE will be strong again.
Great.
Wow.
And support it, short-term pain, long-term gain.
Good. We
love that.
Now, Vilhelm, What's the future like? What are we going to do to jumpstart things? We need to reboot our startups. We need to reboot this economy. What do we need to do next?
That's a very good question. I think how entrepreneurs handle COVID, and the question will come up years from now, will be, what was it that you did during COVID? How is it that you reacted? And I think a lot of companies are going to be measured by that. I think a lot of fundraising rounds moving forward for startups are going to be measured by their ability of how they handled this situation. There's been a bull run for the last 10 years. There's a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs who have been able to successfully exit businesses during this 10-year period and never felt the pinch of a down market. And there's always been that difference of those kind of older school entrepreneurs who've been through the dips and so on, and they're like, you've never experienced anything. But the reality is now we have. Like, this is pretty much as bad as it can get. The whole world economy is shut down. So the reality is that, so there's some things you can do, there's some things you can't do. We are at the mercy of the leadership of the various governments in which our companies operate. And we have to, of course, abide by the laws and the setups and so on. But for any entrepreneurs that are on the line, my key bits of advice would be to focus on cash flow at this point. I think that if you have less than 12 months of cash flow, you really need to start revisiting your business as a whole. It could be that it might make sense to shut down, theoretically shut down and look to jumpstart again after a certain period of time to conserve cash, if you can sustain that. If you have more than 12 to 18 months, I think you're pretty good. If you're more than 18 months, then you're fine. However, during this period of time, I think it's also important, if your operations are slow, especially for tech related companies, take this time to do the spring cleaning, focus on your tech, do the build outs, realize the fact that the world is going to be different. The way people socially interact is going to be different. The way people move around the cities are going to be different. And how is it that your product or service can benefit society in a post-COVID world, which is going to be tremendously different? I would say that like tourism sector, for example, is going to take the longest hit, right? Mm-hmm. So consider these types of things. How is it that you can tech enable some of your processes, whether that be staff working from home, whether that be providing additional services to allow for easier transportation methods of your products, let's say, removing human to human contact. One just example that we've done, and just to not speak too much, but we've actually developed software now for car rental companies, a SaaS play, effectively allowing our tech stack to API in directly with every car rental car in the Gulf. There's 360,000 car rental cars that have telematics units, which are like these GPS trackers required by the government. We can now speak to all them and we can onboard them on our app. So we can allow car rental companies now to become a human to human less interaction. It can just be rented via an app. So we're also doing our part now to see, okay, in the post-COVID world, how is it that we can utilize technology to be part of the new world? So I think that's an important lesson.
Well, we have in our list of people and attendees, many of them are our own clients, they're entrepreneurs, they're startups. Donna, what would you recommend to people looking at this webinar? What are the sectors that you would be investing on right now?
Oh, I mean, look, that's a double-edged sword there, I think, Lorenzo. There's a lot of industries you can invest in, for different reasons, but probably not too close to that, because that's a personal thing on what people, I'm always a believer of investing in things that you love to do and things. And Yes, a lot of people are going under and a lot of people take advantage of that, which I don't, So, but there's a lot of things you can look at. But I think what's important to move forward is firstly, as company owners, don't panic. Don't be scared. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your people. You have to keep safe. You have to keep secure, and you have to be smart, and you just have to get out there and do it. If you make all the excuses in the world, excuses don't get results. The people who get results never make excuses. So you have to, I can talk about why and how and what industries and, I'm not a brain surgeon. Nothing is 100% correct. You can only do what you believe and what you feel and go with your hunch. But there's some certain foundations that you can follow, which are the ones that I just mentioned. Don't panic, don't be scared. And one of the biggest keys, I believe, as well, is company owners and leadership, is communication with your staff, reassurance, and be honest with them. If you're looking at letting them go or there's a reason, tell them. Don't lead them on because you're doing an injustice to them where they could try and find something else. So company culture is really, really important. And, yes, cash flow, visionary, forecasts, keep it real. But if you've got those basic foundations as a company, and I think just one other thing, as a leader, you earn respect. Now, these are tough times financially, and I'm probably more definitely company owners, and whether big companies, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, they should be the first to take a pay cut. You lead by example. And I don't mean that in a rude way, obviously, if you can afford it, but if you can show to your team, guys, I'm not getting paid for 2 months. But I'm not getting paid at all. I've cut all my salary from everywhere so I can keep people. And they respect that. So even if you can cut your salary by 50, 60, 70% for 2 months so you can keep people, that will go such a long way. So there's different things you can put in place, but they're just my principles and my values. Others might be different, but they're the things that I'm actually doing and believe in.
Excellent. Thank you for that comment, Donna. Dr. Sara, any thoughts on that line of discussion?
Your voice is so far, Lorenzo.
Sorry. Any thoughts on some of those thoughts that Donna was sharing?
Donna answered so many questions. What do you want me to answer?
we multitask, Sarah. We're women. We multitask.
Some of those recommendations for how business owners are adapting, the higher executives on how we're adapting. Just something that clicked on me too was, I think it's a time to connect with people now, right? To go out to meet, not to meet physically, but I think building bridges at this time so that when things go back to normal, we've been planting seeds and later on we will harvest on all that effort.
Well, I love what Donna said. I'm very big on leadership, and I believe in transparency and a company that has a positive culture in it and all that. So I do believe that, yes, you lead by example. So for the past almost 2 months, me as a company owner, from my 7 companies, I've taken 0 salary. And just as Donna said, because I've noticed throughout the years of business that you lead by example, and once they see that their boss and their leader can do it, can survive, they go like, oh, they're influenced. They feel like we can do it as well. So you do lead by example. So you can do that to support and show a positive side to it, and that it can be done. That's number one. But for entrepreneurs right now, as I mentioned earlier, this time can make you or break you. You choose. I took this time to do a lot for the companies that couldn't survive and is not surviving well through what's happening. I took the time off to do a lot of marketing research, to remodel, redesign, redo things, and rethink things. But to me as an entrepreneur, failure and risks are my favorite. Like, I don't think I would have been the person I am if I haven't failed in my life. So risks are my bowl of cereal in the morning. Now I'm fasting though. So, but I love risks. And right now I'm just the entrepreneur in me is starving and hungry to know how things are going to happen after this. How are we going to be living? How is interaction going to be? How can I cater to the new world, as Vilhelm was saying? So it's, in the end, it all comes back to the entrepreneurship and the personality behind it. It's all about personality and attitude. How do you want to take this? You want it to break you, and you want to break down in front of your employees, which will cause even like more stress to them and all that. That's your calling. You want to go out there and, you know, we don't need a cape to be a superhero. We're all superheroes in our own way. So you want to go out there and fight this and prove to everybody you can make it happen. It's your calling. So in the end, it all depends on how you are. Yes, cash flow is important. To be sane is important. To focus is important. But as also Donna mentioned earlier, this is a time to give, but also a time to receive in terms of like on a personal level. So what I'm doing is to clear my mind from everything. I'm meditating a lot. I'm discovering myself more. I'm trying to read things that can like keep me more positive and more aligned. So it's a time to invest in yourself as well. Now, don't neglect yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. So as an entrepreneur, take the time, recenter yourself, refocus, recharge, and find out your calling in life, find out your purpose in life, and also focus on the people around you, but also focus on you. It's important. Don't lose yourself in the process. A lot of people give too much that it breaks them in the end, and they have nothing else to offer. You know what I mean? So you self-love, you come first as well, and people around you also are important. So I'm just, to finalize this answer, I'm dying to know how the world's going to be after this, and I can't wait to start new things that can cater to what's happening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Vilhelm, where do you think we're going to be 1 year from now? What's the predictions of things?
Wow.
Me?
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, that would be a very difficult question to be able to answer. Yeah, I mean, it depends also country by country. I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't know the first thing about having a second wave come and whatever kind of future potential repercussions could happen. One can only guess at things and what you've read sort of in the newspapers and so on about what is the path to flatten the curve, what is the path to get people back out on the streets, and again, different countries are handling that in different ways. I would say that in the Gulf region, the countries have been really great at their initiatives. When you stack up the comparison between sort of the UAE's lockdown, especially in Dubai, and what a great job the government's done here, really locking down, and you compare that with some other countries in the world who haven't had as strict of initiatives, you can see that the numbers stack up in our favor. I mean, they've been able to sort of flatten the curve much quicker. So I think it's going to be a country to country thing. I did want to just touch on, I wouldn't really know, but I would imagine life is going to be very different for a lot of people. A year, what they're saying about the vaccine probably taking 18 months at minimum. There's not going to be like herd immunity by then either. So not to sound like a downer, but I think that this is going to be longer than we expect. I just want to touch also in agreement with Sara and Donna on their points about the importance of leadership and the importance of having good company culture, taking time to reflect. I think all of those inherent values and being a good leader for your staff is massively critical at this point. Yeah. The only add-on I would add on the other side is there is a strong degree of financial responsibility as well that companies need to take into consideration as we move forward. And this is just, again, being pragmatic, being realistic, literally taking whatever budget you had before and just scrapping it, and you're starting from new, right? And to not necessarily wait too long with this. The companies that are going to survive this are the companies that are going to do deep cuts quick, make some pretty tough decisions now, such that they can keep the lights on and and have a company that's surviving to the end of this tunnel, which could be a year from now, which could be 2 years from now. We don't know.
We have a good question here from one of the attendees. He's asking about funding and investment. Now, a lot of the startups and many of you in your cases and how the system works is that we're all looking for funding. We're all looking for investors to take our project to the next level, to scale. Donna and Sara, where are we on this? Donna, we can start with you. Do you see some movement back in the market soon when it comes to investors coming in, funding startups?
Yeah, I mean, look, definitely. I mean, it's not all sour grapes. I think what is going to be happening, what sort of Vil was saying, that every company now is going to be like a startup, whether they're international, SME, they're all going to go back to their roots, start up again just to see. Some will have more branding, etc. But I think for investment, the big, blue sky is going to go out. The multiples have to be realistic. People still have funds out there to spend. They're going to look for opportunities, that I can definitely say, but they're going to be looking for realistic opportunities. So if you are someone that's wanting funding or investment, it's not like it was, where all this industry is times 10, times 20, I'm e-commerce, I'm digital, etc. It's get real, guys. That's what I'd say. What do you actually need? What are you prepared to give away? Don't beat around the bush, as we'd say in Australia, and let's get this started. You've got to sell yourself, where you're going to be in 3-5 years' time, and, really have the passion and the energy. Don't give up. There's people out there, never give up. I launched Entertainer in September 11. I've been through that, the war, a recession, and, now we've got the virus. So, take whatever opportunity there is, you've got to try and work around it. So definitely people will still be funding. You have to get creative. You have to get smart. Don't overvalue yourself and go to the right people.
You're right. There's so many successful startups that were initiated during the middle of the crisis that we can point to.
I'm about to start up a company myself. I started the Entertainer in September 11 and another one during the virus. So you can't let things get you down. You've got to, keep strong and positive and passionate and, get out there.
Yeah. Sara, any thoughts on this?
Yeah. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, in crisis, there's opportunity. And the best people that know that are investors. So all the investors that I've worked with in the US and all over the world have emailed everybody saying, if you have any health tech ideas, if you have anything that can support COVID-19, if you have any data-driven businesses or startups, we're ready to invest. Because we know that this is not going to last forever. And what you make right now, like, for example, Uber, Airbnb, all these apps, they came out in the recession. So in crisis, there is opportunities, and these investors know. So I don't think it's cutting down on the investment or are they investing or not. But as Donna mentioned, they're very picky. They're targeting a niche, and they want people who are smart and can find solutions at the moment.
Excellent.
So it's still happening. Nothing changed. And all I'm going to say is what you guys mentioned. Be smart. Every huge company in the world, if you look at their business model, they are solving a problem. So if you are a startup, don't be a trend slave. Don't follow trends. Don't do things just because other people are doing them. Look at the country you're in, look at the world, and look at a problem that you can solve that everyone has been neglecting, that nobody thought of. Target that and make it a solution, no matter how simple it is. Like the most simplest example is the food ordering app. So we can literally get in our car and go get food, right? It doesn't take us much. We're not on camels. We're driving cars, right? But people don't want to move off the couch right now. They just want to do everything at the tip of their finger. So find a problem right now in what's happening, solve it, and you'll be successful. It's funny. I'll give you guys an example. Like, I was shocked. My friend is American. She's in America. And she's like, Sara, do you know what's happening to all the dating apps online? I'm like, what's happening? She's like, they've opened their cameras so people can have virtual dates. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be smart. Don't shut down your business. Look at how you can convert it to adapt. Nothing is impossible. It's just about how you handle this as a person, and then comes the creativity. It's all about you first, basically.
Excellent. I love that. Well, we're getting to the end of this webinar. Maybe a few final conclusions. Donna, I'll start back with you. What are you going to be focusing on in the next 2-3 months? And what would be your final message to our attendees?
Yeah, look, for me, to be honest, I'm actually really excited. You know, I'll give you my worries and then my excitement. So I think I'm the same as Bill. I think people are also a little bit scared. Until there's a vaccine, I think there'll always be a little bit of doubt. So that's a slight concern. And one thing I am actually a little worried is people have been home a long time now, and I think they've got a little bit complacent. So people want to stay at home, I think, but you need that mojo and that oomph to get back out there. So complacency doesn't also give you results. So it's just getting your mojo back to get out there, I think, is really key. But for me, I'm really excited. My focus is launching my new swimwear line, which is called Kaha Co. So I'm really, really excited. It's for men, for women, and for kids. So that's really exciting. My restaurant group, we're sort of hibernating at the moment. Then we're going to come out firing. And, you know, we were smart. We had cash flow. So it's all about planning. You know, my salon, you know, I'm trying to be visionary for that. And Dawson Sports, the sports brand, you know, we've seen what people want now when they're at home. So that's all visionary and pre-planning and more ordering. So look, for myself personally in my businesses, I'm excited. I've got some other ideas as well that I want to launch. You know, I'm quite agile, and people who know me well, I get quite excited and I want to do like 10 things at once. But for those out there as well, and don't get me wrong, my companies have lost a lot of money in this time as well. There's been awful times. So it's, as I think Sarah said, it's how you are as a person, how you deal with it. And the glass has to be half full to move on. Every cloud has a silver lining, and each day will get better. That's all we can say. So don't sit on the couch and get your tissue box out and what am I going to do? For someone, even if I can give any advice to employees at the same time, if you're on unpaid leave, paid leave, whatever, or uncertainty, don't just sit there. Check your emails, do what you can for your boss. That is going to stand out because they're struggling and they need support. You know, you can't get blood out of a stone, but if you've got staff and you're a team and you can help, don't think I'm on unpaid leave, I'm not doing anything. Like, get out there and fight for your job and show your boss what you can do. I don't understand that. It's like, even if you're on unpaid leave, work, because think of the future, not the now. Because it will be hard to get jobs out there and people are cutting. So you've got to stand out. So think about how you can stand out as an employee. So they're just lots of little different things that I would say, but every cloud has a silver lining. Take it day by day. Don't be scared. Don't panic. Be passionate and just go out there and get it.
That's great, Donna. Thank you for that message. Dr. Sara, what will you be focusing on in the next 2-3 months? And what will be your final message to this webinar?
Okay, so basically, as Donna said, nothing lasts forever. And I remember I was complaining once and my grandma told me, we've been through worse. And you guys, like, this will pass, this shall pass, and life gets better after every wave of, like, let's say negativity or something like that. Life just jump starts and get better, and it changes to the better. And yeah, let's just hold on. You're safe. Make sure you're safe. Make sure your family's safe. Economies can be fixed, but right now it's people who we should focus on. We should all stay safe and just manage to help flatten the curve, basically. But for startups and entrepreneurs, I'm going to say it again. It's all about how you handle yourself. I think ever since COVID started, I launched 3 companies. So, and one of them was basically, I knew that celebrities wouldn't have any gigs or shows or events happening. So they'll be sitting home going crazy. So we created an app that you can, like, purchase shout outs from your favorite celebrities, catering to any events and all that. It's called Hala High. So we're finding problems and we're finding solutions for them. And seriously, it's the people that are going to survive and come out with crazy great ideas now are the people who are going to make it in the next couple of years. So don't give up. look at these are like, to me, what's happening right now is like a bump on the road. I just have to get over. Things will be fine. Don't let this drag you down. I know a lot of my friends who are entrepreneurs, they're like, I'm in bed every day, I can't move, I feel useless, I'm depressed. It's a choice. You want to be that. You want to go out there and fight and do something about it, do something about it. I'm taking the time off to write my book as well, so, and it's almost done. So it all depends on how you see things, on how positive you are towards what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen after this. I'm eager because I know that as a person, my personality is I'm a fighter. I'm not a quitter. I'm going to go find ways to survive and do things. I know people don't like this word, but being a hustler, you know, and I know that if I was left on the street, I would know how to survive. It's all about personality. So pick yourself up. This time is time for us to be productive and to show people what are we going to do after all of this is over. Don't give up, don't quit. People have been through worse in the past. At least now we're safe, we're fine, and technology's there, and we know that this can be controlled soon, and hopefully we're waiting. But whatever you do, just don't drink bleach.
Amazing. Well, I love that spirit and that energy, Sara. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
And Vil, your message to attendees.
Yeah, I resonate the thoughts of Sara and Donna about the positivity, the glass half full. Again, my view on this, the only additional pieces of this is, firstly, if you're having weekly meetings before, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 meetings per week now moving forward, right? It's critical for all staff members to be in communication during these times, to have those weekly meetings, have the setup, readjust your budgets, readjust the focus, constantly be nimble and focus on how you can handle the next week. Forget about the next 6 months. It's as far as your ops strategy is concerned, it's about the day-by-day work. Also, just the other bit, just not to sound like a broken record, but how important it really is to remain financially vigilant. This is the time for renegotiation of contracts. This is the time for really visiting your budget, revisiting it, seeing what fat can be cut out. You want to get as nimble as possible. You want to cut out fat, maybe a little bit of muscle, but leave the bone. Make sure that your company is nimble enough to survive. In addressing the point just earlier about investment, I would be a little bit cautious for some of the startup founders here to think that it's going to be very easy to raise funding right now. Even at the best of times in the Gulf, it takes about 6 months to raise capital. So just keep that number in mind. And also, this might not be the best time for your company to even try to raise money, not only because a lot of VCs are only focusing on their own companies, a lot of LPs are also dropping out of VCs. So there's not as much deal flow going on. The VCs that have cash right before this happened, they'll have to deploy cash. So I'm not saying it's a zero-sum game. There are definitely deals to be made. But just keep in mind that if you're looking to raise cash right now, it is not the ideal time. So you might want to consider, maybe it makes more sense to revisit that in the next 6 to 12 months if you can survive that long. Right. Without sounding negative, but all the other positive stuff I'm on board with.
Great. Well, guys, I think we're reaching the end of the webinar. We want to thank you. I would like to suggest that we take this online. We're going to be posting this video on our social media channels, and we encourage our attendees, our panelists to engage. We're going to be sharing the contact details of the people that are attending this, in case you want to share something with them, a little post, webinar experience, any ideas that you may have, and just to keep the conversation flowing. But again, Donna, Sara, and Wilhelm, thank you so much
for being
with us today. Your valuable tips and ideas. Keep that amazing spirit that you have and that you're driving this ecosystem of startups. from our side at Creative Zone, this is what we do. We help people achieve their dreams of setting up their companies, and we do it by supporting them in many ways possible along this journey. And we depend on people like you to be part of this ecosystem, to help us help these people that have ideas and that want to also grow their businesses. So once again, thank you all so much. Thank you to the attendees for taking part, and we look forward to continue this going forward.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. Keep safe, everyone.
Stay safe.
Keep flowing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye-bye.